long time ago. Next animal that he did see had wool on his back and hooves on his feet, eating grass on the mountainside so cheap. He said, I'm gonna call that one a sheep. Sing it and say, man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, in the beginning. Man gave names to all the animals in the beginning, a long time ago. Saw an animal as smooth as glass, slithering his way through the grass. He saw him disappear by a tree near the hay.
Every week I draw a card from the jar. I call them jar cards. And people have filled them out to let each of us know what you feel about Spiritual Soul Center and what you think about it. So if you haven't filled a card out and you want to fill a card out, you can come up after the service and there's blank cards here. And if you put your name on your card and you're here on the Sunday that I pull your card, you get to read what's on your card. And so this week, my dear, dear Nate, I pulled your card.
I was thinking, what? It's not me.
Why didn't you want it to be you?
I'm shy.
You're not shy. So read the question and then read your answer.
Why Spiritual Soul Center? I feel loved and held. There's space here to express my full self. I can be received in my fullness. What have you discovered here, or what are you hoping to find? I can share my gifts to uplift a community. I'm hoping to find more ways to be of service. How does it feel here, or how are you hoping it will feel? It feels like coming home. I'm with the family I've always wanted. How will you enrich this space and our community? By letting my heart be touched by others and to continue showing up fully.
All right, so let's take a deep breath in and let's bring ourselves, draw that excitement. Let's bring ourselves into the quiet of our inner sanctuary. To breathe in and to breathe out and to bring ourselves into this present moment. You know, we look out in the world and we see things that we wish were different. We want things to be easier. We want things to be more peaceful. We want to see community and connection, and we don't always see that. But wisdom would tell us that to find it, we first must find it in ourselves. That we first must go within and feel peace, and feel joy, and feel wholeness. And when we are able to do that, then that is the vibration we present to the world, and that is how things change. So breathing in and breathing out, to be in touch to that inner sanctum, that place of wholeness, that place of peace and ease, knowing that the unseen, whatever name you call it, by God, universal mind, love itself, that is the origin of every living thing. And we only need to pause to consider the power in it, the love in it, the peace in it, and the possibility in it. And for that we are grateful, and so it is. Amen.
Keep your heart above your head and your eyes wide open, so this world can't find a way to leave you cold. No, you're not the only ship out on the ocean. See those strange things that you can't change. Forgive the ones you can, you gotta let it go. And keep your heart above your head and your eyes wide open, so this world can't gotta let it go.
Renee and I were on vacation last week. Some of you realized that there was no posting on YouTube last week. We didn't realize so many people watched that stuff until we didn't record for one day. Where's the recording? We didn't see it. Renee had the Sunday off, so that's why you didn't see it last week. And according to my friend Joe, it was the best one ever.
Yes.
So you missed it if you weren't here. There's no recording. There's no recording of it. I said to Renee, that's why it was the best, because it wasn't recorded. That's the reason right there. But anyway, we were on vacation and we flew up. There's a direct flight during the summer from Wilmington, North Carolina to Wilmington, Delaware. And when Renee saw that, she said, well, let's just go there, because we haven't been to the Delaware shore. Let's just go and see what's there. So that's what we did. So we flew up there and we stayed outside of little Lewis, Delaware, and in this little cottage. And the first day we were there, we went to Cape Henlopen State Park because we wanted to ride our bikes around, you know? Or not our bikes, their bikes. They actually, you pay an admission to the park, but you get to ride the bikes for free. So you just kind of ride around, you know. But we took the right turn instead of the left turn toward the bikes when we first got there. And we came upon one of these observation towers. They have these observation towers all along the Delaware coast. They have 9 of them along the Delaware coast. 2 are in Cape May, New Jersey. And they were built during World War II, 1939 to 1942, because as a defense mechanism, because they wanted to make sure if the German boats started coming over to the United States, that they'd be able to spot them. And so there were these towers along the way, and they didn't shoot any guns from these towers. These were simply observation towers, a way for the men in the towers to see a ship, and then to determine from another tower to use these to triangulate to find out the location of a ship, to tell the gunmen back at Fort Miles, which is where the guns were, how to shoot the ship, you know, how to bomb the ship. Well, fortunately, no ships ever came, so this defense mechanism was never necessary, but hence they're still there. And so we got a chance, we pull into this parking lot. Renee said, you want to stop here? I'm like, yeah, let's go look at one of these towers. So I have a graphic for you, just so you understand what I'm talking about, okay? So here is the tower. Laugh if you must. All right. So here's what the tower looks like, all right? So it's this concrete tube, and the walls are 1 foot thick. They're reinforced concrete. They were poured all at the same time, all the way up. They're as high as 75 feet, okay? The one we went into has 114 steps, 114. 114. And at the bottom, you know, you have these little windows, okay? You have these little windows, and the view from the bottom, obviously, is different than the view from the top, right? So we start walking up the tower, and in the tower is a spiral staircase. Now, in the original design, they had a straight ladder going up there. Well, thank goodness that wasn't the case. I don't know if we might not, well, no, we probably wouldn't have done that. But the spiral staircase goes round and round, and I passed these windows, and in each window, the view was different, as you might imagine, right? The view down here was pretty blocked, but you know what I noticed in the shore at Delaware there? It's not really flat. It's not like at the beach here, where you have flat and then dunes and then kind of flat. It's kind of rolly in there. It kind of has little pockets, and the sand kind of rolls in there, and you can see birds, and you can see different things in there. And then we get up to like this level, looking out these little slot windows, and the way a tree looks at that level is just incredible. Like, to be up right in line with these huge pine trees that we have. I hope it looks like a pine tree. You know, and you're seeing the pine cones and the needles and the softness and the length of them. It's really incredible. It's really incredible. And we keep climbing up, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And so we get up to this, and these are slots now. These are slots. These is where the men set up their little things that measure distance and angles and all that stuff. And these go around the thing 270 degrees, all the way around. So you can imagine the view here is different than the view here, right? Different. And this one happened to be like right at the treetops. Right at the treetops. And that was a totally different view than here or here. Totally different than here. It was just kind of that fuzzy view, and you couldn't see the ocean yet, but it was getting really close. And of course, by the time we get up to here, the panorama begins. And it is north and south and seeing the buildings and out. By the time we get to the top, oh my gosh, it was literally breathtaking, because I'm afraid of heights. Breathtaking right there. And but it was vast, and it was wonderful, and it was amazing. And it wasn't a really clear day, but we could see quite a distance. We could see quite a distance. And I'm looking out, and I'm like this, and Renee's like, did you see this? And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She said, well, look down. So here's my thing to Renee, like this, and she's like, look down, look down. Me, I'm over here like this, Alright, here's me, looking like this. Look down. And on the ground, way down here, well, Renee saw that I was too busy gazing out and didn't see. People had made images and words on the ground using pine cones. I was like, oh, geez, I would have missed the whole thing. Renee said, look down. When you're up, look down. And we saw a couple of things. We saw a peace sign in the ground. We saw somebody had made with pine cones a butterfly. We saw someone had put the word love, and above it somebody put sis love, like S-I-S, like sister love. It's like, oh, like you couldn't see it from here, really. You couldn't see it from here. Maybe you could have seen it from here, but up here, we walked all the way around and we could see it. 360 degrees, 270, not much here. And that was what happened here. And I thought, man, what an experience. And maybe only a minister sees it this way, but I'm like, man, this is going to be a talk right here. This is going to be a talk, because there was nothing that changed about the environment. The only thing that changed in this whole experience was our perspective, right? That was it. That was it. That's the only thing that changed, was our position in how we were looking at the same environment, right? That's the only thing that changed. Nothing else out on the change. I thought, what a difference 114 steps made. I mean, it was, in this case, only 114. It was only 114 steps. And it was a huge, huge difference in what we saw. It was really cool. And it's a metaphor for life. So now that's the minister piece, right? But being able to say, you know what? That position from which you observe life makes all the difference. The position from which you observe makes the difference. Because out here is not what changes is you. What changes is how you see it. What changes is your perspective. Expecting this stuff out, we didn't expect anything to change here, really. We just had the experience of the same environment from a different position. And I say that's the same as life. That's what life is. And whether our position in life is from the physical standpoint, the mental standpoint, or the spiritual standpoint, it makes a difference, the position you're in and how you experience the same thing that's going on. Isn't that pretty cool? Here's the other thing that this allowed me to recognize is, see, in spirituality, somebody would say, oh, you need to get to the top, right? But I say, I don't think so. I think there is value in every position in this tower. I think if you get to here and you think that's all there is, you're going to have fallen short. Or I'm going to have fallen short. Because I'm going to think that this tree and this look is the only thing there is. The same is true of up here. If I think the only thing there is this wide open space, I'm going to miss this detail. So what I'm saying is there is no wrong perspective. There is no wrong perspective. There's only, Carolyn, this one and that one. and this one and that one, and this one and that one. But they're not wrong. And I'm getting away from the idea of we need to just climb the ladder and see the view from the top all the time. I don't think so. And a lot of times, you know what happens at the top? It's raining. It's raining and storming, and the best decision is to come down a little bit and get yourself some protection so that you can see something that you couldn't see from up here. When it's raining and stormy, it's not the place to be. I'm sure these men who were in here doing their observations weren't up there like that. Let's go down below. Let's turn the heater on. You know? Let's see what it looks like from there. There's no wrong perspective. I think the only wrong thing, or the only less than best thing, is to get stuck at any one of these levels, like I said, and think that that's the whole picture. Because we can't get the whole picture in this environment at any one of these levels individually, can we? And so when we're thinking about it as our life, that we might give ourselves a break in that direction as well. Well, I have this, but there are other perspectives to have. I think having the broad view is critical. I think getting to this point gives us a view that is necessary, but I don't think it's any better than this view. I think they're all necessary if I want to be at peace, if I want to be balanced. I also think that it's easier to get up and down these stairs if you've had some practice. 114 is a little ways. But fortunately, Renee and I have been going to the gym, and we go to the Y, and we've been riding our bikes, so it wasn't such a hard climb. But even with the mentally, it's important. Like if I am holding on to things for dear life and I have not learned how to let go, I'm going to get stuck here somewhere because it's going to be too hard to get up to see any higher. Right? And spiritually the same way. Spiritually the same way. If I have a definition of spirituality that's only this, then I'm going to have a hard time going up and down stairs and taking into consideration a different perspective. Right? You can see that. You're all smart enough to see that. If physically you've been exercising, it's easier. If mentally you learned to pause and consider, you've learned to maybe talk less and listen more, maybe those stairs will be a little easier to climb. And spiritually, if you've made time for meditation and quiet and introspection, maybe spiritually going up and down these stairs will be a little bit easier. I think so. I think so. 114 steps. So then, when I was getting this message ready, I thought, 114. I wonder what that number means. Any of you interested in angel numbers? I'm not a really angel number person, but I said, I wonder what the significance is of the number 114. I wonder what that means. So I asked, Dr. Google, and of course they're always, you can find whatever you want on there to meet your needs. That's the one thing I noticed about numerology. I just kept looking till one fit. But one did fit. One did fit. And this is just my... Why did I even say that? I didn't have to tell you that.
It's true.
But it's true. So, but the couple of the meetings that I uncovered were similar, both in biblical meeting and a spiritual meeting, and they meant this. And so I think this was a good message for me to find. Even if it was picking and choosing the one that fit for me, this is the message for me. Trust that there's a greater plan going on, and it knows more than you do. I'm like,
Yes.
I mean, how can that be wrong? And also, stay true to who you are. Stay true to your values. I'm like, okay, I get that. Have faith in your own abilities and trust that everything is working in your favor. I'm like, yeah, that's never a bad message. That's never a bad message. Okay, I found it. Like I said, I scanned through some things, but generally, 1s and 4s, whether it's 441 or 114, I'm glad it wasn't 441. We did go up the Cape May Lighthouse. It was 199 steps. Not so many windows either, so it wasn't as satisfying that way. But yeah, I thought, yeah, trust, keep taking my steps. Know that there's something bigger going on. Don't question everything, just say yes and move forward. I'm like, yeah, okay, reminder, Paula, reminder to you. But one of the biggest reminders I got from taking this trip up and down the tower is simply to remain curious. To remain curious. Curious means eager to learn, like keen on learning, opening that up. To be inquisitive, to be inquisitive, to not get stuck, to be curious. And I think we're curious when we ask ourselves questions instead of, if we think, well, this is all there is and this is the most beauty we are, this is like sitting in a recliner in front of the TV and being done with life. It's like, I don't want to be there. I want to be curious. Maybe there's a bigger recliner up here. I don't want to get stuck there. I don't want to get stuck there. It'd be questions like, what else could this be? When you're running into things in life, like, what else could this be? What else could this mean? What am I missing here? What am I missing here? What is this really about? I mean, this is what it is, but what is it really about? Or simply to say, what? I don't really understand this. Because the more questions we have, the more space we open up in ourselves. And I say the more space we open up ourselves, the easier it is to get up and down these stairs. Because we're not carrying so much certainty with us. This has to be the way it is. And then you're carrying that. And oh, by the way, that too. And then we're putting that on. And then we're dragging ourselves up these stairs. But if we're curious and we're asking questions, we're a little lighter as we move through life. Don't you think? We're a little lighter as we move through life. Like I said, even at the top of that tower, there's rain and snow and fog and extreme brightness and sunlight. And maybe it's calling us just to go down a little bit to see what you can see from there. Like to be curious. I don't know, does anybody feel like they've made it to the top and you're done? Yeah. But we act that way sometimes because we hold on, we think, well, this is my position. There is no further for me to go. Right? That's not curiosity. That's not how it works. So a few weeks ago, I did a message and I used a jigsaw puzzle. Some of you were here for that. And I said, life is like a jigsaw puzzle. Because all the pieces are there, but we have no idea how it's going to go together for sure. And it takes time to put it together. It takes time. And sometimes we're there putting it together and we have to walk away. And so life is like a jigsaw puzzle. And I said, well, you all know from Forrest Gump that life is also like a box of chocolates, right? Because you never know what you're going to get, right? Well, I'm saying, well, life is like a watchtower at Delaware Beach State Park at Cape Henlopen. Because your position from which you look determines what you experience. And so life is like that in all its facets, in all its facets. So like some wisdom in cards that says, is it the journey or the destination? It's not a destination here. It's about moving through life with curiosity. And I think if we do that, we get less stuck, no matter what level we're on. Curiosity is key. Curiosity is key. Even curiosity about things we disagree with. Like there are things in politics right now, no matter which side you're on, you're like, huh? How about being curious about it instead of judgmental? How about being curious about that? It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It means curiosity. I know curiosity killed the cat. Our cat's still alive. How about yours? I think curiosity doesn't get enough attention. And I think it's so important to be able to do this. So that's what I want to invite you to do. That's what I invite you to do, to remember there's no wrong perspective. To remember the position from which you look determines what you see. Remember the broad view is critical. To remember even when you're high up here, you might look down to see something you missed. All these things, and there's probably 100 more that I haven't touched on, but maybe you have by looking at this. That's what I have for you today. our vacation out to Delaware. It resulted in that. So let's take a moment now and go into meditation, shall we? Oh, one more thing. One more thing. Here's a couple other things I learned. I already told you this. One tower can't do all the work. It's triangulation. So if this is my tower, I can't do it alone. These are things that just came up this morning, that's why. Sometimes you prepare and the event doesn't happen. Remember? Because all this got done. Your taxpayer dollars at work. But we didn't need to use it. Well, that's a good thing. Because sometimes we prepare and the event doesn't happen. Is that bad? Just be curious about it. And here's the other thing. These things were built to last for 20 years. And 80 years later, they're still standing. What's that tell you? I'm going to let you decide that one. All right? So let's take a minute. Together. Take a deep breath in. And another one out. And let's for a minute in the stillness realize to take a picture of our own life, maybe from a different perspective, to look at our life, to know that it's more than just this one thing. It's much more rich than that. That we can look at ourselves and we can look at the world from many different positions. We don't have to call them good or bad. There's just this position and then that perspective. And what we learn through curiosity is the wisdom from each place. So let's just sit for a little while. Let's just sit for a little while. Now I want to close with this from Mary Oliver. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. Do cats pray while they sleep, half sleep in the sun? Does the possum pray as it crosses the street? The sunflowers? The old black oak growing older every year? I know I can walk through the world, along the shore or under the trees, with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance, a condition I can't really call being alive. Is a prayer a gift or a petition? Or does it matter? The sunflowers blaze, maybe that's their way. Maybe the cats are sound asleep, or maybe not. While I was thinking this, I happened to be standing just outside my door with my notebook open, which is the way I begin every morning. Then a wren in the privet began to sing. He was positively drenched in enthusiasm. I don't know why, and yet why not? I wouldn't persuade you from whatever you believe or whatever you don't. That's your business. But I thought of the wrens singing. What could this be if it isn't a prayer? So I just listened, my pen in the air. Amen.
I remember Mother praying, Father too on bended knee. Sun is sinking, shadows falling, but the prayers still follow me. Even though it's in with me, precious memories.